Okay. Today, our ambient video back there is it's from a performance I did in the jungle, where we brought a bunch of ice into the jungle, and we exposed some of the animals to it. So we surrounded this tree that's full of these ants with this ice, and they freaked out, and they did all this weird stuff that we've never seen them do. For example, some of the ants crawled down. The ice was at the base of the tree, and they would crawl down right next to the ice, and then they would like freeze, and they would get these ice crystals on them. Then other ants would come up to them and kind of like shake them and like lick at them, and then pull them up to safety to warm them up. So it was a very strange phenomenon. But simple example of like one of your guys' bio performances. Doing something strange to a thing consistently and kind of observing and analyzing the results. So today we have all kinds of stuff planned, and it's largely going to revolve around analyzing a lot of the readings that you had for today. But first, we want to get to some of the people's ideas that we weren't able to get to last week. So who talked about your things last week? It was Mary, Danielle. Did we get to anyone else? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 remaining. I want you two who've already presented. You're going to team up, just match up with 2 of these random people who are going to present. And what you're going to do is I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to, each of you who hasn't presented yet, you're going to come up here and you're going to do a little performance where you demonstrate what your thing is going to do, how you envision your thing working. So, for instance, Danielle's we've already heard about, the flowers and the sensors. We could, if she was presenting, she could make me one of the flowers, and I could hold up different colored shirts on my shirt or something to show me, and then somebody else could be a servo lifting me out of different cups of water. Things like that. You get what to do. Bonus points for making it more dramatic. So break up into either small 2-person groups, or if you are on your own, let's have 1 3-person group, and you'll each discuss with each other what you're going to present. Okay? Make sense? Go for it. What's it? You two?
3 people group, we present all 3.
Yeah, we're going to do each one of your things. You just can use each other as props.
Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm going to give you a full 5 minutes, so 5 minutes it up.
How are you?
Great.
Let me be your prop. What's your story?
So,
Thank you.
Having a hard time finding the wheels that are controlled by learning found really just want this. Sometimes having trouble figuring out what kind of options you need to take it.
No, actually, insects in there too. There were ants in my pantry and we trained them. This one was a good.
how did you train them?
When I turned the lights on and I flickered them, I would kill as many as there went.
Here, do you want to make a dramatic, or do you just want to get
And then they never bothered
I can
me.
be curious and tricky, so proud. But then as I like move, I go, oh, wait, I have some sort of autonomy over this.
And you have to go back home.
One of us is like, yeah.
It'll be like finding Nemo all over again, where we're like getting to the ocean and there's all this bag.
And then when you drive off the stage, you're making it like that, like a hack attack. Then you finally get back home, but you still have
Do you want to think about sketches together? What other alternatives are there?
And then I turned the light bulb off.
also thought about a vibrating box.
Okay.
Just
Well, I
like-
mean, for the kids, if you want to keep doing
Okay.
that,
Like,
like,
Yeah. So I thought about
okay,
pressure
so
sensors.
mine is
I don't know
like
how
I have
well
some
they
sort of
kept
a
little
curriculum,
tiny,
and
that's a very
I'm
small
gonna have to
surface
take her
area.
like
They're
little
really
circuits and kind of like shooting. I imagine it as like lasers kind of,
Like,
and like
when
it
it's like,
starts like
like a garage door, I wouldn't have used it as a door. They can say, oh, sure.
then it's gonna
Oh,
make
yeah.
the turn on
Signals
and
broken.
like
That's gonna activate.
so like yeah, but it's pretty good. It's just about will ever like hit it.
Yeah.
So
I would say that anything like.
I do like doing something.
I would keep it on the ground just so it doesn't like jump anywhere. I mean, honestly, even if you have like a tree that kind of like rolls over, like even that's just kind of like a nice it really just happens. Like you can think of it less about the cricket controlling it himself, but like the cricket and controlling his environment. I would think it would be cool if you can find a way to make it not so stable on the wheel so that like it floats more or something like that. But I don't know. What else?
Get over it by putting wires.
So I'm kind of struggling with this.
Or there's got a camera.
First, the wheels.
Okay.
Actually controlled by Arduino.
Okay.
I've seen some. I'm not really sure if it's gonna do what I want
Okay.
to do.
So earlier you were saying you have some sort of tank.
Yeah, I really don't know if that works with Arduino.
Okay.
And then I found like wheels that actually do that.
Okay.
I looked at
What kind of
several
magic
guys.
wheels are these?
Basically, it's just motors in a box that are all.
And
So the wheels have motors on them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's got a chassis, it's got like a
Yeah.
frame? Oh,
It's
okay.
like a platform. Okay.
Okay.
And then it's got wheels, 4 wheels, and each one has a motor connected to it.
Okay.
And then you just start wiring it back out.
Cool. And have you tried driving it yet?
No, I don't have it.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't decided if I want it.
Oh, this is just exists online somewhere. Yeah, you need to, so, that's part of this, is you're gonna have to figure out, very quickly, you'll need things or not. That might be, because, as we should all notice, this is all stupid tricks. So, you may not need a platform that has super mega control over everything. What you can do is, there's some of these little motors, there's some just little cheap motors you can get from Radio Shack, and you pass a current through them, and then they spin one way. You can have some wheels that you just make. You can get a crappy toy car or something, and just have maybe 2 wheels. One that, when you activate it, makes it go forward, when you activate it, makes it go backwards. Something simple like that, because you're not gonna, maybe you don't want to steer. Maybe you just want the grasshopper to make it go forwards or backwards for now. So focusing on something like that might make the thing easier. Maybe have start with just like a toy car that just rolls around without motors in it, and just add 1 wheel to the middle and 1 wheel to the back that have the motors in them, that all they do is make it go forward or backwards. Another alternative is if it becomes too difficult to attach you're dealing with wheels, you can have your 2 motors hooked up to strings that reel it one way or reel it the other way down kind of like, on a rail. So you need to get a motor going, like ASAP. Then you need to be able to, you really need to figure out how you're going to sense your grasshopper or cricket. Have you caught a grasshopper or cricket yet?
I was just going to get some.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so grab those and start seeing how you can sense them. Do you have any kind of sensors you're planning on optically sensing it?
Yeah. Is there anything better?
I don't know. I'm just now getting those things that I was talking about earlier yesterday, the short proximity sensors. but I haven't actually gotten to mess with those that much. They're basically the things that are in your cell phone headset. They're used for a really stupid purpose of just seeing if your ear's there or not. But they actually have really high resolution. That could maybe work. You do something like what I recommended Alex to do, which is get some photo detectors, photo resistors, put an array of bright LED lights that are constant above it, so it always has this constant illumination. If something crosses that, it'll give a shadow, and then you know, oh, something's there. So those are pretty simple to use and pretty readily available, like a Radio Shack kind of thing. Okay. Cool.
Even I just also, if you want to like make like a backdrop and make it consistent, so you can also do the LEDs. But honestly, you can even just like do like construction paper or like nice paper, like so that it has a consistent background, and then just have it on the sides as well, so that they really just text change. That's right.
Yeah.
There's pencil right there.
You ready?
Let's do it. You guys are up first. Okay, people. We have our three ladies going to present their three projects. And performance. Let's turn on the lights for them.
Like in the middle of everything.
Hey, can you grab the lights for me? Okay.
I'll be in between you guys. So you can just there. Do you want me to like explain what my fire performance is?
There's many different ways to do a performance. You can have a narrator, you can have audience participation, you can have all sorts of different.
You don't want to.
Okay.
You do it first, and then.
The main thing is you're going to do it very quickly.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Okay.
I'm the light ready.
I like the reaction we get out of Manny. It not only makes the cricket chirp, but apparently this strange light we have can also make a dog bark. Okay, cool. Quick rundown.
So this is my one,
Okay.
and so I decided, crickets, they chirp faster, right, when they're colder, and slower when they're hot. So I was gonna have a microphone that detects like how much noise is in the box, and the more noise there is, then it turns on the light, and then when the noise slows down, the light gets turned off, because the light, I'm gonna use a light that will emit some sort of heat for the crickets. So we're gonna go to Radio Shack and pet store and get crickets and for that.
Okay, cool. So you want a light that emits heat.
Yeah, or I was gonna find something that just like any amount of heat. But I figured a light would be the simplest thing I could use and probably the most expensive.
So you could use a lamp. The thing is with lamps take AC power.
Yeah.
So everything you've dealt with your Arduinos and stuff, like the LEDs, those take DC power.
Oh, no.
So it's always just a straight voltage, usually around like 5 volts or something like that. AC power, like not batteries, but when you plug something into the wall there, it has the big cords, and if you touch those to your tongue gets kind of melted off. But what you need to do is be able to control AC power like that. So what you can do is, there's these things called relays, and we have a relay shield. I've actually talked with Mary about using this. It's a thing that plugs into the top of your Arduino. You would basically take a cord that you can plug into the wall, you chop off the end, there's 2 wires that come out of it. You don't plug it into the wall while you're messing with the 2 ends, but you screw these into the relays on top. Then you screw your lamp's wire into another 2 ports, and then you can digitally tell this thing, okay, let the electricity go through this gate and turn on my big power-hungry lamp, kind of thing. So relay is the key word that you're going to want and need. A relay, or a relay shield. Do you guys know about shields?
No.
So, because, yeah, totally. Because Arduinos have, basically they call it like a hardware ecosystem, you notice that, who's got an Arduino on them? Oh, you a shoe. Perfect. Thank you. So if you notice, Arduinos tend to look like this, right? Her Arduino tends to look like this. Mary has some Arduino-like things that are different. They're not really Arduinos, right? And they're red painted, but they still kind of have the same ports and stuff, right? That's because they all use the same kind of hardware configuration. When you have all your ports arranged in the same places across many different platforms, you can make specialized hunks of different sensors and whatevers that are called shields that simply plug in to the top of your Arduino. And then suddenly, boom, I can use it as an Ethernet shield. Now I can use an Ethernet plug in here, and all I have to do is just set a couple different things, and all my stuff is wired up exactly correctly instead of having to manipulate all the wires yourselves. And you can stack multiple shields on top of each other. So that's what a shield is. Shields.
Your Arduino is actually made together like that.
This is not an Arduino.
That's a shield.
This is a shield. Exactly. So this is a bundle of different sensors or radios or lights or relays that does something special, and it's all arranged for you. And all you have to do is plug it in the top and then use the special library that comes with the shield. Great. Okay, one performance down. Let's get some more.
Okay, so I'm the cricket in the box, and we're going to imagine that this right here is like infrared short-range sensor gun.
Okay.
So I'm on this side of the box. So there. And then the box moves furiously, really quickly.
Okay.
So like shaking around and falling.
And then just forever.
Yeah.
So it's just a one-off. The cricket flips a switch, and then it's just in death shake zone.
For a while, and then we'll turn it off, and then wait for it to do it again.
Okay, we'll perform it for us.
Okay.
Don't just tell us. I want the. Okay, so Katie's gonna shut it off.
Well, it'll probably be on like a timer.
We need a whole. So one thing I noticed is you want to shake the box, right?
Yeah.
So I think you may have part of it over actuated. You just want the box to shake like this, right?
Well, it shakes side to side. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So you don't need two robots that go left, right, left, right. You just need one robot that turns it left, right, and you just have just a stick on the other end that just rotates. Because if your servos, if they're not timed exactly perfectly, they're going to start twerking against each other. That is not the right term. I did. And so, which I think is probably a better definition of that word. You want just this thing to not be actuated at all. You just want like a stupid hinge or a circle that rotates that.
I'll be this thing.
So yeah, you can be that thing, or even better yet, we're gonna have just this pen be that thing.
Okay, and I'll
we're gonna
be-
have you be the sensor. This is what I want to see here. Let's see how this sensor works. So your arms are invisible light, okay? And whenever she breaks the light is when you get activated. It makes sounds when you get activated. Now Cricket's dead.
Oh my god! Well,
Okay.
I don't know, it might die.
Okay. So,
I already killed one.
so the main thing I want you to think about though is so you have a sensor, and then you have something that acts upon it. Boom. Stupid pet trick. You got it. When you are programming this, you're going to be faced with choices like, okay, do I write when I get some sort of different reading on my sensor? Do I switch it then? It's just go onto a timer and then just shakes for a certain number of seconds. Do I keep it going until it gets switched again and know that the crickets cross back the other way or something like that? Those are just going to be decisions you have to make. Okay?
Okay.
Cool. And the final one.
Here's this. What was that? You're the light. You're the sensor. It's like, oh my god. Oh, right, okay. So, beep, 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 beep.
Oh, what is going on here?
And I'm like, not.
I think a fish just ate food.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Okay. Well,
Or
what are-
I'm like, swimming up to the top.
get down here. That'll give you some fish. Yeah, there you go. Now you're more fish level. What's Katie?
She's a light bulb.
She's a light bulb.
Directional light bulb.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
And then the sensor goes off,
Okay.
or
Because
the
something
sensor
passed
reacts,
through
I
the
guess.
Okay, so it's like the is it like the sensor Katie just used?
This is a-
What sensor were you using, Katie?
Yeah, be careful with sensors and glass. I'm already.
And I was using an infrared like proximity sensor. This one is basically to like because light is shining through to this thing, and when something passes through, it's kind of like the light is shut off because like something black like goes in front of it. So that is what's being measured here.
Okay, so earlier you were just doing proximity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a good point to mention. You guys know the greenhouse effect, right? Do you guys know why the greenhouse effect happens?
Yes. I learned about this like last week.
Exactly. And yeah, tell us why the greenhouse effect happens.
Well, it's that if light comes in and the gas lets it through, but on the way back out, it absorbs certain.
Just tell us about an actual greenhouse.
Actual greenhouse. Well, if the light comes in.
Okay, it comes in through the glass,
Through the glass.
and then what does it touch?
It touches the air and the plants.
Okay, it touches some plants and whatever, the ground, stuff like
And
that.
it heats up everything inside the greenhouse, but
Okay.
it's covered in glass, so it can't get out.
Why can't it get out? So
It's
light hits it and then bounces back,
because
but
glass lets light out, but gas is not out.
a little bit. Huh? So the reflected light, when light goes into things, it reflects off stuff, but the reflected wavelengths can be different. So like we get white light in, but your green shirt's only reflecting green bluish light back out. When it hits a lot of land and ground stuff, you often get just a lot of infrared light reflecting back, but IR light doesn't travel as well through glass. So certain things like infrared detectors, just be wary about if it's on the outside of glass looking in. A thing like just a big bright light and a photodetector will go through the light because you can see it bouncing back and stuff like that. But just be wary whenever your sensor is going to be traveling through something. It might not work. Always expect everything to not work.
Is it true that I also have to have some sort of, what do I call it? Some sort of something that like drops food, like I'm not able to do it, I have to have a,
Remember we talked about having the syringe and like something squeeze the syringe instead of come out?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of time
That's what we were
distributors.
doing.
what'd you say?
I have a bunch of time to be food distributors.
Do you?
Yeah. I have like a bunch of.
Are you able to control them?
They're timed, so you can control how many times it turns and when it turns. And it just goes off whenever you set it to go off.
So you could do something like, you could hack one of her things to rotate.
Well, it does rotate.
Or,
So it works.
so you could control how it's rotating. Or you could hack into it and tell it like, okay, set the timer now, and we'll start going. Another very simple way you could do it is you just have a servo that has a little dump truck full of food, and you rotate it, and if you rotate it all the way, it's just going to dump out all the food.
Yeah.
But the servo can move very slow increments, so it could just like turn 1 degree every time the fish comes up, and it just lets out a little bit. Again, this is your stupid pet trick, so you just need the kind of one real output. I'd prefer if you did something more interesting than just a light goes on when a fish comes up, because that's maybe not affecting the fish as much, and these are supposed to be feedback loops with the animal itself.
Well, wouldn't the light's always on?
Sure, that's part of your sensor. That's just part of your sensor.
Okay.
You have a constant light, and you have a sensor always detecting that constant light.
Yeah.
You measure whenever something's different.
Yep.
You need an output to finish up the rest of your feedback loop, right? You need to do something to your fish.
Which I thought was feeding him.
Sure, exactly. That's what I'm just saying. One way that you could feed the fish is you get a little servo and you just make it like slowly dump food in there or something like that. And also, it seems like I would check out Mary's cool feeders if she lets you. Awesome, cool. That was all three, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Think about. Oh,
I
beautiful.
just have a comment on the other thing, right? It's going to be in the process.
If it's going to be inside the box with it, you should
Yeah,
be
yeah,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah, mine don't be in the box.
Okay, you two. I want to see this. We've already had the charades type performances. You need a novel dramaturgy.
Do we have a show for you?
Okay, here we go, everybody. Here's our show.
Oh, I have just been trapped into this plastic box and I don't know how to control it or move or leave this box.
Well, I guess you didn't realize that your box has wheels.
What is that? I don't even know if I'm going to go this way. Oh my gosh! I'm so confused. I will leave this spot. Oh, it's going this way. It seems as if I can control my surroundings to go towards another direction. Okay. Oh, I'm home. Oh, I'm home!
But you're still in a box.
Beautiful. I love the dramatic bow for it. That was great. It was like half infomercial, half existential dread. And we learned about the plasticity, the potential plasticity of the animal's behavior as it adapts to its new plastic environment. Cool. So how is this going to work? We kind of saw the concept in action. What was your creature?
Cricket.
Cricket. We got lots of crickets, okay?
So it'll be inside a box on top of wheels that are controlled, or motors that are controlled by an Arduino.
Tell them. I've heard.
When certain sensors don't know yet what detect which side of the box the cricket is on, the box will actually move in that direction.
That's a smart
We'll see how they all come in action. They all have, all the stupid pet tricks have the potential to be smart pet tricks. But don't concern yourself with that for now. Concern yourself with getting an animal, getting an input, getting an output to the animal.
You actually have to go capture an animal.
You have to have an animal.
So we have to have
Or it could be when I say animal, I mean living, non-human creature. It could be a plant. I don't want to be horticulturist. So could be a fungus, could be
Or more like we have to have, so we can't like design something for something we don't have.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. No blue whale designs, no turning anything like that. You're going to, so this brings up our schedule here. Next week, Tuesday, is when the thing is what? Due. So you're gonna have your thing, an actual living creature,
So we're
not just a hypothetical blue whale that you have this amazing interaction with. You're going to have your thing, and it's going to be hopefully working. There's going to be some things that change around though. Tuesday, I got sucked out of here for an impromptu kind of fancy lunch meeting thing that I have to go to with the higher ups. And so what you guys are going to do is you're going to bring in your things, bring in your animals. Hold on one second. And you're going to work, okay? You're going to work, and you're going to be, it's going to be, oh my God, my grasshopper can't control my tank. My tank doesn't move well at all. What's going on? there's going to be all kinds of panic and stuff like that. I'll be here 11 to noon, so I can try to dissuade some of your Tuesday morning panic a little bit. But then I have to leave, but you guys are here. One of the main things you need to do is help each other get your thing fixed up, and then you're going to help each other document your work. Documentation is a very hard process that I keep stressing, and it can be a lot easier if you have a friend helping you hold something, like hold it like this, so that the grasshopper's here, so we can take a picture of it illustrating, whatever. So you're all going to help each other document your work. And don't feel constrained to just being in this room. You can go down to the courtyard, you can have more naturalistic settings. There's more light out there too. So feel free to do whatever, but those are the main things you're going to do on Tuesday. So then your final presentations, luckily for you guys, have been pushed back to Thursday, October 3rd, okay? So you're all going to make a PowerPoint. It's going to be very simple and straightforward. I'm going to give you a list of there's going to be 10 slides, and I'm going to tell you exactly what needs to be on each slide. So first slide just says what's the animal? Second slide says what's the input? Third, whatever. I'm going to send you out this list of what each of the slides are going to be. Don't fret about the presentation too much, because you'll already have lots of good documentation to show with this. Then you're going to critique each other's works, suggest, oh, maybe you should do this, blah, 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 da, da, da. We also may have the opportunity to have a guest critics in the class from either ethology, or there's some artists who do stuff with animals from Ohio. The guy who made the betta fish in the bowls, he might come, or the lady who made the plant that has spikes that close up on it. So they might Skype in and help critique with us. So that's your next week. Thursday, I'm going to give you a little reading, but then mostly we're going to be in here, bring all your stuff, and we're going to kind of work. You really want to get, you may be starting to feel how it takes a while to go from your design to oh, should I have this or this? What sensor should I have? To then oh my God, I need this sensor. Oh, my thing's due in 3 days and shipping takes 4 days or something like that. So you need to start getting your things as much as you can. We have sensors and servos and all kinds of stuff I have back there. You can feel free to use these. You can use them in your design. What you need to do though, if you use something, you need to buy the thing to replace it. So Danielle already asked about using some of the servos that I have back there. She can use those in her design, glue them, break them, do whatever. But she has some servos that she's ordered that are coming in that she'll then toss into the box. Okay, cool. Questions? You guys have questions?
All right, first of all, what if I can't possibly bring my animal to class without being it's kind of irresponsible.
What is your animal?
Some sort of fish. I haven't pictured one.
Some sort of fish. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make sure that you can carefully document the thing functioning in its natural environment, which is, I'm guessing, your house where you have I imagine your house is just this crazy aquarium world, right?
Right.
So you need to carefully document your thing fully functioning for many different ways, and you need to bring in the device itself here so that we can, you need to devise a way that you can couple it. Huh?
I could make it, I could bring in a take fish.
Exactly. But the main thing is you have to have the actual fish.
Yeah, I do.
You can only puppet an animal if your thing is already working with the real animal. Because otherwise we fall into this design space of oh yeah, here's the thing that would totally work with a blue whale. And people are like, well, did you really work it? No, but I made this blue whale costume, and it worked. And then someone points out like, oh, but blue whales are invisible to infrared light. Didn't you know that? Or something like that. And you're like, oh no, because I never used an actual blue whale. So first thing, you need to use the actual creature itself. And you need to make sure that we know that you use the actual creature itself. You need to prove it to us, even more than the people who are bringing buckets full of crickets in, okay? And then figure out a way that you can puppet this and show the technology in class so that we can play and interact with it. Were you going to say similar thing?
Yeah, I mean, H2.
Okay, cool. And there's a chance, should we get a class goldfish? Oh, that's, there's one more thing to note here.
Conrad died?
No.
Conrad,
Oh, no.
oh.
Did you not feed her?
No, he had plenty of food, he just stopped moving.
What happened to my cricket?
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of things. Maybe he's not supposed to be in a weird air-conditioned environment. Maybe some of the pine needles they got out there to replace him as bedding with had some sort of weird pesticide on them. So he's got them from like outside one of these beds. Conrad's from northern Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Very nice. Remember? Okay, everybody sit for we're gonna have a Conrad memorial real quick.
What did you
So
do
this
then?
clothes, I brought them outside. I hate everything. And some of the mulch that may have killed them. Yeah. But, so everybody, close your eyes. We're going to have 5 seconds. Think about your favorite Conrad memory.
When I met. That was nice. How did I pick one?
There's an apple.
We didn't.
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't deserve a pet.
We don't deserve a pet?
I have an extra fish tank though.
You
if
can get a beta, but
Oh.
that's not likely to die. Yeah, beta fish don't.
What about the ant farm?
We should get an ant farm going.
Let's just get all of the above.
I
Let's
really
have
want-
Python.
Yeah.
I want a python.
Yeah,
I like
Python.
monkeys, but I think.
So, especially invertebrates, feel free if you like sea monkey, like bring a tank in. We'll have them in the back. Totally fine. Vertebrates, like even fish, it's gonna be a little iffier having one of those in here. But if you find a whole colony of ants, so I really want to go and give you guys. I want to take you guys out for another like ant hunt someday. We'll be gone this weekend. and we'll be gone next weekend.
Can we make that one of our field trips?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I wanted to make an ant hunt field trip. We can.
Something like that in
No.
October?
Yeah, November 1st, camping trip, analog retreat. We're going to the mountains, northern Georgia. You should come with. It's gonna be an awesome
When
thing.
do you have to say yes to that if you want?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send out a reminder email about like next week, and then in probably 2 weeks we're gonna start just arranging rides with people. So just kind of work it out yourself. Yeah. So in like 2 weeks maybe to answer your question. Anyway, so yeah, you must do the thing with a non-human living creature. That is primary. If you're not bringing it in, you need to prove to us. You need to go out of your way to prove to us.
Plus, whenever we decide to change our creature, is that alright? Like,
Uh,
say I want to do a frog instead of trivia.
If it works with your thing,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
In
I
frog,
already changed my creature. Gotta take care of it.
You're responsible to
take more care
like
of it.
some
As a
endangered fish from a reef.
Vertebrate, yeah.
Exactly.
That's why I was fully cricket.
But if you treat it nice and like a pet, as you would a normal pet, then things are
Yeah.
cool. We have one more performance to go.
Yeah, Larry.
There, how about
so
that? Quick! No, this looks like discussing some sort of excuse.
Come on,
So,
All right.
Come on, Larry. Come on, get up here.
Motto, go class.
Yeah.
I am the counting robot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go.
You didn't tell me, hey. What? I'm supposed to touch it, right?
Yay! You counted to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay! Okay, 1, 2, 3.
You're teaching me some things. I didn't know the right number.
Yay! Okay, okay, man.
Okay, so it starts with an output where it makes some sort of, what's it going to do?
Well,
Is it going to be a Larry with electrodes going into him, shouting yay?
I was thinking like maybe a speaker or something. I have my buzzer. I just really
Okay.
just wanted to, I was like,
But so you're thinking sound?
yeah, I
Okay.
really just wanted to, like, I have this thing here, I want to teach an animal how to count, but I don't know any animals that could count anybody.
Okay, well what animal do you want?
I guess a girl or a cat or a dog, or something with, that's furry, has 4 legs and a brain.
Hmm.
But I don't have any of those
A
to
button.
access.
Go
Uh-huh.
to.
And I don't have enough time to, like, actually sit down and, like, okay, I need you to tap this thing for me.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I was asking about, what I actually need, like a...
Totally. So let's break down the whole thing. We'll get back to the animal in a second. So you want to use primarily sound as the output?
Sound, well, I was thinking, like, as it went along, maybe like sound or light.
Okay.
Like just
Yeah, you
as
can
many ways.
reinforce it.
Yeah, just, it blinked this many times, or it buzzed that many times, and if you get it right, everything comes on, and that's how you know you get it right.
Okay.
But it's just the thing, I don't think I can teach insects how to count. I could try.
You can try. Again, stupid pet trick. You could fail. Failing is fine. You can. Okay, so sound or light output. What's your input going to be?
Well, I was going to use a pressure pad,
Okay.
and I was just going to fish it out.
Okay.
And when pretty much I was gonna, it turns on and it had, everything comes on, all the lights come on, all the beeps come on, and then it chooses a random way of counting to a number. And I was thinking at max 10, not like I'm gonna teach it to count to 50, addition, multiplication, division.
Sure.
Um,
I would say keep it around. I would say give it like options like 1, 2, or 3.
yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Something simple.
Yeah. So you want to teach your critter. So you're going to take some sort of input from it, and then and a bunch of chalk. And then you want to send a reward message out to it.
Yes.
Okay. So now back to the animal. Your outputs and your inputs are going to kind of depend on your animal.
Yeah.
You know one cool person who has a fuzzy creature that seems kind of smart.
She's smart, but she's smart in that she doesn't do things she doesn't want to.
Good. Yep.
That's fine. You can fail, but you can at least try to use her as a design thing.
So I could attempt to teach Maddie how to count using my thing.
Sure. If Maddie's owner.
Mary, are you alright with
Yeah,
that?
you can take care of her while
Okay, cool. So you lock down your animal. You're going to use May. You need to start working on. You've made things buzz and beep and stuff like that.
I have all the parts except my pressure pad, and I was about to order that.
Okay. There's a
I was
question.
just gonna make a suggestion that you could reward Maddie with like food or something. Every
Does
time
she
she
do
treats.
treats?
Yeah, not in large public settings. Like, I don't know, she
Corner of
doesn't
the street.
actually respond to food very well. Like, if the PetSmart guy tried to give them to her, and she just kind of looks at him like, what is this? I'm used to
You could
things.
like
I'm
cover a
spoiled.
button so that she like knows to press it, and like cover it with like peanut butter or some sort of food. So like she doesn't. It's not even like pressing it. It's just kind of like she puts her nose on it like 3 times.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of people.
Squeakers, man.
There's a project here at Georgia Tech called Fido.
Yeah, I learned about that.
Yeah. What does
My
Fido
professor-
stand for? Who's your professor?
Jackson.
Jackson.
Her last name is Jackson. Like Melody Jackson.
How is
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So she presented on. They have a system, something for dogs with occupations. So they have like a little harness, and it's like a little rope, and the dog can pull on it. And whenever it pulls on this rope, it lets the owner know that there's like a tornado coming. They couldn't hear the tornado alarm or something.
Oh yeah,
because they were deaf.
Sensei works.
Oh, that's cool.
But they also use, they have a touch screen that the dog's nose can poke against. You might want to, get like a big button. You could make a big button over your pressure pad. Something that an animal can recognize as like a distinct thing
Yeah.
to try to.
That is a little spray.
Yeah, and then she figured out
Yeah,
what
exactly.
the switch on my surge protector does, so I'm sure she'll figure out.
Yeah, and make it nice and big, because
Mm.
she doesn't have nice opposable thumbs like you and stuff like that.
She doesn't know what to use her arms for.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
that seemed good. What time is it? What's our time?
12:49.
No, we agree.
So 49. Okay. What we're gonna do now
It's like what?
is we're gonna talk about your readings. Any other questions about just any last minute things about our little performances or animal things here?
Oh, I have, well, just about my project with the rotating rock. What if, would this work if I like glued like a squishy bouncing ball over it? That way, like when it rotated, because something has to hold, because if it's just like this, it can't rotate. But like if it's going like kind of a ball, I think that,
Sure.
that would work, I think.
Hey, your box. Here's your box right here, right?
Yeah. Well, elevated more.
Sure. So you're just saying set it on top of something like this.
Yeah, it revolves like connected to it, so then it'll, because you can sit it on the table and it'll.
Sure. I mean, you could just set it on a cylinder or something here.
You can
Or you can just make
attach it to a cylinder, turn the cylinder.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You could have it, it could, in theory, stick, if you can make it rigid enough, it can stick off the table. But you might want to, support it from both sides.
Okay.
I think so. Spark Fun has it too. And they're $1 cheaper than on Adafruit, right?
I'm concerned with these things.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to do is, you guys looked at some exhibits, right?
Yeah.
What were they from?
Mama.
Yeah.
Been there, and never go back.
Talk to me exhibit and show them.
Exactly. Talk to me exhibit. So these were a bunch. Most of them were just from. There's a program a little bit kind of like the digital media program. It's focused a little bit more just on design stuff called ITP. I'm not sure what I think the T is technology. But it's at NYU, and a bunch of those exhibits were just like student artworks that were in part of this collection. What I want you guys to do is I want you to map out. You're all going to take write down 2 of your exhibits, share them with a partner, and then you're going to come up here and you're going to write down your exhibit on kind of a map between pure human solipsism, pure just humans are the only things that exist in this world, this is a device for humans and that's it, towards more like things that maybe use non-human creatures as like tools, or towards things that are actually doing something with the creatures themselves. The creatures can act back onto the thing, all the way to how the artifacts may function as like a full ecosystem kind of thing. Okay? So, chat with each other real quick about some of your projects.
Okay, no.
One of mine
Reverse camera is pretty cool.
Yeah, I just like the motion, like the.
Tell them what it is.
Oh yeah, well, third person camera is a suit, and it's a polygonal suit. So you have like the bad virtual lighter hair and polygonal. So you walk around and sometimes the camera's attached to your back, and it covers your eyes. So it feeds you from seeing back here.
Oh yeah.
So you walk around like third person camera behind you, like
So it's, like you're in a video game.
So
You
people
see
walk
yourself
around
moving
and
around, but
like
from
crowd
like
like
a
a camera
camera
behind
behind
you. Do other idle animations and move around. I'm over here with one of my
Yeah, you can't make
Oh yeah,
that act.
okay, so it was like about just like animals.
Okay.
Okay, I don't remember what it's called, but I saw a plant thing where they had a little, when you grow plants, it would make noises or move the plant or whatever, whenever the plant needed water, and by protecting the soil. Like, so like if the plant needs fertilizer or water or any kind of care, it would make noises.
Huh.
That's very interesting.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
No, yeah, okay, Arcade Fire is a band, and they made this, like, HTML5 music video where, conceptually the song is about
Wait, is
like,
that what?
Oh, like
Or was it
actual-
Suburbs?
yeah, that was the album, the suburbs.
But was it We Used to Wait? Is that the one of the weird HTML5 experience? was
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Have you seen the new one?
And, I have heard about it.
It's
Everybody-
a very strange flow of it.
Cool, I'll have to look it up.
That
It's called
one would be
Reflective,
biotic interaction.
And you have to have your phone as well, and it like
Really get my hands.
does things on the screen of your
Sorry.
phone,
You
and
can
then
stop, I can stop.
tracks your phone as like a motion
Oh,
device.
that's cool.
But it also like at one point like does like the camera on your computer showing it on the screen of your phone.
Well, she
and
lives
it's very
indoors
tricky.
and eats right, 'cause I'm a
Okay, everybody, let's all get up here. We're all gonna get up on the stage. Everybody up, everybody up.
Like, you have to figure it out. And then it does
Come on,
like
Randy.
a cool, like, video, kind of like, your penis out.
Okay. Yeah, I did. No. One.
And we're just gonna go one by one.
What they're trying.
One person, map something out. Katie, go.
Okay.
Tell us what your thing was.
This one was the becoming critters.
Becoming critter.
Oh, I heard
Where you, okay, I'm not exactly sure how that. So do I need to write the name of it?
Tell us what the thing is first.
Okay, so becoming critters, like they have it at like some national parks, and you like participants go, and they teach you about like different animals, like antelope or bears, and like the habits of those creatures and like what they eat, and like so they basically teach you like how to be a bear. So then you like, have those skills that they have. I guess.
Cool. So where did you put it on this weird, somewhat spectrum?
I would say these two.
Okay. So what are the actual interactions with this?
Well, it's like it'd be like the person, well, that just kind of described it as like an info session,
Okay.
I think, but it's like.
So are they actually
related to-
touching an animal, or are they?
I don't think so. So,
But it's about animals.
yeah, so that's what I think it'd be.
Interesting.
For me, it seems more like a tool because it's the tool in between like humans getting to kind of know about these animals, but it's not really actually having a feedback, like a relationship.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, good. We got that one there. Next person's up.
Okay. One of the ones I did was the brushing teeth one, which was just a poster made by a French guy that was used to demonstrate like the motions of brushing your teeth for like little kids, like the up and down motion side to side, like the swirling. It was kind of like it was really abstract, honestly. It was really interesting because you could actually like tell when he was going when he did it. That would be cute. So it's nothing. I call it. Yeah, people there call. Sorry.
And also with my little spectrum that I made, we can add new dimensions to it if you want. Like, for example, if someone was like, well, it's about brushing your teeth, and it's just about humans for human kind of things, but maybe it's like drawing you to a more animalistic part of yourself, this weird decaying mounds of flesh inside your open wound on your head. So I'm just saying, like, if we wanted to do like human solipsism, but like if there was like
This is the depression section.
more visceral access or something, feel free. Add different dimensions, whatever you want. Okay? Cool. Brushing teeth. Next up, who's going?
Yeah.
Go, Larry, go.
So I have to do one of mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did the third person. Frogs. Birds. And it's pretty much a suit where they give you a suit and it looks like it's like from Virtua Fighter or something. It looks like you're a giant polygon man. It's kind of like a jacket up. and they cover your head with the spikes, but they cover your eyes, so it feeds what you see from a camera. But what your camera is it's connected right here, and it goes all the way back out there, floats up around right here. So it plays like it's a third-person camera, like you're in a video game. So you run around with your polygonal self and watch yourself do things from behind you.
So weird.
But it has nothing to do with these things. I'm sorry.
It's fine. You don't have to apologize for things.
Could
This is not a value system, by the
Would
way.
that be a biotic tool because it's kind of interacting with the environment around you?
Maybe. The whole point of any of these, of breaking things into categories, is for you guys to analyze how things may or may not fit into categories. So maybe, if you want,
We could do like a dotted line.
get a tentacle. Give it a tentacle. To a different, you know.
Oh, snap.
Oh, that's a quality looking tentacle.
Oh.
Nice. Suckers on there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, we went all in.
Cool. Okay, cool. So we have a tentacle going into kind of, it's a tool. Maybe it's not even as much the other animals, maybe it's just more of the rest of your ecosystem, something like that. Cool. Okay, Eric, you were next up.
So I love this project. It's called Out of the Box. And it's basically when you buy a new Samsung phone, it comes in a book. And so you place the phone inside the book, and as you flip through the pages, it teaches you how to use the phone. And even on certain pages, there's like the battery, it's in a little hole in the book. So you pull it out and it says to flip the phone in, and you put the battery in. It like teaches senior citizens how to use stuff.
That's really
Oh,
cool.
perfect.
That's just cool.
I don't know why this really doesn't exist.
Oh.
I've only ever seen it. I don't know.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Any other? Does anybody like, no, that's totally, senior citizens aren't humans, they're animals, it's a perfect biotic interaction. Are there any other people who want to make a stand against where he's placed things? Okay, cool. Who wants up next?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
I looked at the arena skin, which was, it was a root, I don't want to say a root, but it was, I'm not really sure what the color they made, but it almost looked like cellophane in a way, which it wasn't. But, and they showed you how they made it and how they like sewed it, and I'm not exactly sure where the arena was, but then they like put it over this building, and then they were able to like.
Like a full stadium?
Yeah, and they like were able to like show the different lights and the different patterns that they did to like display the names like on the stadium, and it was very cool, huge, which I would say would be.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Addendums, conjectures, anything?
It is more of like, no, never mind.
If
I mean,
wanna
I like
go-
that they-
If you want to go all out, you can just cover
Well,
the ecosystem.
I like that they called it a skin, which made me think of a biotic sort of
They're kind of
term,
drawing on these.
I like
but
that.
I don't think it was necessarily. Okay.
Alright, I guess everyone's looking at. Okay, I can't remember names of any of them, but I'm gonna call this plant thing. And apparently I'm gonna kill half of them. I'm gonna just.
So what's the thing?
Okay.
Plant
So,
thing.
and then I'm gonna draw some tentacles.
Whoa, nice. A good looking tentacle.
Alright, so plant thing.
It's like crap
And
one.
plant thing, I know it started with botanical, but anyways, what it was is they had these different plants in like a greenhouse, and they had sensors, different kinds of sensors, like one detected like phosphates for like fertilizer, and one detected moisture and stuff for in the soil of each of the pots. And whenever the plants needed something, they would make different noises to alert the humans. So it was like letting the plants talk to people even though they don't have the mechanisms for talking. Except I don't really think it totally counts because they were more so talking to the environment than the plants themselves, but whatever. The end.
Okay. So that's why you placed it over here?
Yeah, instead of like, because they're not actually interacting with the plants, they're interacting with the soil. But it helps plants in the long run.
So maybe like it's a very distal phenomenon in the way that we're completing this interaction loop. It's not as proximal. Maybe ready to hand. Already at.
Because does the human ever like receive anything back from
No. Well, they can like sound feedback, but.
Well, the human's getting barked at by some sort of sensors, right?
Yeah.
And the plant's just sitting there doing its own thing, generally.
Generally.
Eventually, it gets manipulated by the human who's getting barked at, right?
Yep.
So, in a way, you have this full interaction loop. It just has to go through many intermediaries, right?
Right.
Okay. Interesting. Is everybody gone?
I had one that was actually very similar to that, called tree listening. So I would also put that in between biotic tools and biotic interaction because they put like a crazy amount of like audio sensors and microphones into trees. They put them like not only at the bark and at the roots, but inside and like in the branches where you can listen to the winds like blow the leaves and things like that. And there'd be like a little listening station for the person to go up to a tree and kind of like listen to the tree. So the actual art piece is like a biotic interaction. Like the person is kind of like going into the tree and like placing these things in there. But otherwise in general, it's more of a human just passively kind of like learning about a non-human.
So once it's established, it's just kind of this tool.
Right.
But you're saying, you're kind of arguing for, while they're doing it, you have like a human being like, oh, can I hear something? And they plug it in somewhere in the tree. Oh, I can't hear, oh, maybe I hear something. Okay, now I can hear something. So you get kind of this feedback back and forth. Okay, that's interesting to think about the different stages of the artwork in different areas of this. Cool. What time is it? What time we got?
It is
Awesome. So now I want you guys to pour through the. Did you guys read the Kunitsov reading? Kunitsov.
Oh no, the other reading
that
was
was the
crazy.
sensor one.
But, yeah.
Which one?
That was the sensor one.
Yes.
Bees and biophotography.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was,
Yeah.
okay, so you have two other readings that we haven't discussed yet. One was.
One was the
Wait,
Kuda
wait,
sensor one, and the other
Church.
one was
Church.
like metaphors and stuff.
Yeah, it was
And
phenomenal.
stuff.
It wasn't. It was,
Well, there was metaphors.
it was the
and-
opposite of metaphors.
Okay.
Phenomenism.
That represent. Yeah, that word. He just.
It was
Phenomenon.
phenomenology.
Yeah.
Phenomenology.
And what was kind of the main word that he kept talking
Embodiment?
Yes.
Embodiment. It was all about embodiment. Let's just okay, so we have all this kind of loaded up. You're in this weird world, this one-dimensional world that we make where we got tentacles in other places. Sit around here. We can pull up some chairs. Huh? Yeah. Let's do two more of these.
Oh,
Toss them up there and tell us about them.
well, it goes here. It was called Bug Plug, and like in your house, you have all your plugs like into this one big like long plug outlet, and that was kind of like the bug like antennae, and like the antennae come off of like the surge protector thing, and like if a person comes near, they have I guess kind of like a proximity sensor. So if a person comes near, like energy goes to the surge protector and like basically gives everything power. But it kind of like regulates how much power your house uses based on like the person.
So it's kind of like an auto shut-off for like, oh,
Yeah.
nobody's been in the basement for years. We shouldn't have all the surge protectors. on.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was it.
Okay. And so she's putting in, it's just humans for humans' sakes.
I mean, you brought up like it came up off of the metaphor of like antennae or something like that, like how they like sense the thing from near. So I thought that was cool. Like if we were to do another dimension, I think putting one towards like humans interacting with their own human-centered environment. Like it doesn't warrant the ecosystem, but it's still about like less about brushing teeth. Sorry,
That was
But,
totally fine.
and more about how the human lives and
It's kind of like inspired by.
So are you saying going from like the individual to a more social realm or something? Or
I would not use the word social,
Uh-huh.
but I bring up environment because, like, the habitat, the human habitat, I guess, is kind of it. You know, they're non-living creatures. It's not like non-human living creatures, but it's non-living creatures that don't necessarily like interact back, except for the humans' control. Like a lot of that one, I would say like questions more of like humans' control over their environment or something like that. Or
Okay.
so.
So you're saying, yeah, that's like the biological ecosystem we have over there,
Right.
and you're saying a digital ecosystem, maybe
Yeah,
down
like
a different axis.
Arena skin was very much like it didn't change the environment. That wasn't only humans would be affected by that environment, but it still affected like more than that.
It's bringing more attention to parts of these human-created parts of the environment.
Yeah.
Or something. Okay, interesting. Let's chat about the Durish reading real quick. Well, maybe not real quick, because it was kind of one of your longer readings that you've been assigned. But in terms of deep philosophical readings that you're going to encounter, especially in like media theory and stuff like that, and you see this one, and especially when you get to like deep philosophical things like phenomenology, this is going to be one of the most accessible, easy to understand readings that you're going to encounter about this stuff. So, what field is Durish in? What is he talking about? Where does he come from? Is he a biologist? Is he?
I lost the breath. I'll have to read this one.
Is he a medical
I
doctor?
finished it.
CI,
Nothing
like,
stuck.
all that.
I'm going to be honest.
No, that's what learning feels like.
But I thought.
It's
I don't like this feeling.
And
So
I'm
when you-
really good at learning.
so when you perceive, so the way that so he talks about meaning making. How does meaning ever come to be? In a similar way, it can be like learning. So when you first are encountering phenomena in the world, you just like when you're a baby, you don't know how to make sense of all this stuff. There's like I have cells in my eyes that fire electrical signals whenever lights go on or off, and you don't know what to make of this. It's noise. You perceive it as random noise, right? Eventually, though, you move from these strict like perceptions or just piles of data, and you start noticing patterns that build up. So like if we think about the sensors of just a baby's eyes, maybe it notices like, oh, lots of photons, not lots of photons. Lots of photons, not lots of photons. And this goes on over a couple months, and it starts getting a day-night kind of schedule. It's like, oh, half of the day is very dark, half of the day is very bright. And there's other kinds of things like this. And eventually, it can build up these patterns that have kind of like sedimented from all this random noise and input and photons that we get in. And it can attribute meaning to it. Like, oh, dark, then bright, 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 7 times. That's a week or something like that. Or a dark and bright is a day. That's when things start refilling themselves. So that's one view of like how meaning can be made. And this is also kind of how learning can work. You have all this noise coming in, but then you go over it and you look through it and you examine it in different ways, in different states. You examine it from trying to have the perspective of a dog, and you can see things in different ways. And eventually, stuff might start clicking for you before you even realize it.
And you should
But
just
so-
have to go over it a few times.
Yeah, yeah.
When you were talking about just dark light, it kind of seemed like it was just kind of like assign meaning to things. You know what I mean?
People do?
Yeah, or just like anything. Like, you know, light could be day, and then all of a sudden it's dark, that's the day as well. But it's like, why don't we assign it light, dark the whole day? And then, or they could have assigned weeks instead. So
It's like some sort of like measurement system.
And like the time change, when they like decided to make the time change a thing.
Or you mean daylight savings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I vote for
Oh,
yacht.
that-
Or the
Daylight-
time
I
change?
vote for yacht. We have electricity now.
Well, daylight savings was way back in Rome because when they changed to the Roman calendar, they noticed that the way that they counted time was going to be like off by that much every now and then. So, or is this daylight?
That's not.
That's leap year.
That's leap year.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
It's kind of like a really big daylight saving. Take or add a whole day. But anyway, going back to, she brought up a really good point about meaning making, and how, is it just assigned to things? Do people just be like, this is this, and that's where meaning comes from? Durish talks a lot about where meaning comes from. And it's a little bit different from what I've just said, about one way that meaning arises. Where do some of these phenomenologists, where do they argue that meaning comes from?
Like, I wish I could like bring up the specific names, but a lot of them were just like, it's subjective to a point, and it all comes to like a convergence and like assumptions of like everybody kind of, like other humans kind of believing the same thing. But the intricacies about like the difference between certain sociologists and the others, I'm not entirely sure.
So that was the one social guy, right? Who was discussing that groups of people develop meaning just by kind of negotiating stuff.
Yeah.
I think her shirt's blue. She's like, well, it's kind of purple. But eventually we kind of negotiate like, okay, I've seen that color before. As a group, we're going to say it's blue for now, and we're going to say her shirt's green. But maybe in some other situation, factors may be different. The idea is that there's not an absolute thing that happens kind of a priori where we're like, this is absolute blue. We all know that. And we just happen to be in a collective group and like, oh yeah, of course it's blue. Oh, Katie says blue. Everybody, if you're not stupid, it's blue. What were you going to say, Anne?
I was going to say it's kind of like the importance around to the environment. It's not just like, oh, it means this, but it means that because of its general effect on the things around it. Like the day is generally, we are able to be awake for a certain number of hours. It takes about 24 hours for us to fully go to like a sleep cycle. So that's why that's a day instead of like 12 hours being a day, Or there was like one thing I saw where they made like the kilogram, like the perfect kilogram, like it was just like a standard measurement. They're saying like that is like now the standard because if that starts deteriorating then the standard is changed and like everything's different. So it's like keeping like a standard for everything and it's relevant to the environment.
So comparing, so you've made two statements in the past two questions you've had so far. One was about where meaning comes from. Is it just assigned to things? And then what's your second statement?
The other one is that it is, I feel like it's still kind of assigned something, but it's assigned to it based on that concept's relevance to the environment around it and its effect on the environment around it. Like if you were to just like change it, maybe, I'm trying to think of like how.
I need to help her out.
I don't know. So,
Like the meaning, it's given that meaning because of the way it affects things.
Well, if it's universally accepted as that, then like that's what it is. That's what you put it as.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's just like assigned things, honestly. I mean, it's assigned based on like reason and like logic and biology, but it's still just kind of given to it. Like you can just completely change it and things wouldn't change, but it kind of seemed like, oh, that doesn't really make any sense, why would I just put it like this?
So who's a lot of the phenomenologists, and a lot of these things, they kind of reference back kind of like the bad philosopher, not a bad one, but for this sake, we'll say that a lot of phenomenologists are arguing against a certain philosopher from the past and certain ideas that this philosopher set forth. Does anybody remember who that is? Who this philosopher is?
I remember reading about a philosopher that I had heard before. I don't know.
It's like Galileo.
Let's just start naming
We
philosophers.
could go with Plato.
Which one killed Socrates?
So there is one person who has a famous dictum that says, cogito ergo sum.
Think therefore I am.
Yeah, who said that?
I don't
remember
know.
that.
You don't remember it?
Wait, I remember Latin. I don't remember I think there.
Have you guys ever made a graph?
Cartesian plane.
Yeah.
Cartesian.
Well, who made a Cartesian plane?
Descartes. Descartes.
Yeah.
Descartes.
So Descartes. So
Descartes.
Descartes kind of he pushes forward a little bit of this idea of a kind of separation of mind, this pure logical enterprise of pure facts like mathematics and stuff like that, and then you have the rest of like the real world and the body. So the kind of mind and the body, they're these separate things that maybe have this little like communication. They radio each other. Your brain's living in some sort of tower of pure geometry, and your body's out here in a swamp wiggling around, and your brain kind of has a little walkie-talkie, and it's like, oh yeah, walk over there because I see the true way of going to that. So that's kind of, if we have this as a separated view of body and mind, what have a lot of these later phenomenologists kind of argued towards?
Well, if we're using standards from the real world to communicate, then that means we're like interacting with our environment in our like we these good ideas that our mind has from its tower actually come from the swamp in the body.
Ah, yeah. So you're kind of arguing for there wasn't this amazing magical palace that was pre-built with perfect geometry and stuff like that. That was built up from the swamp,
Yeah.
right? So even if we have these kind of logical units and stuff like that, their basis ultimately comes from the environment itself and from our body's negotiations with these environments. So it's a bit like a bit of this discussion was, do you guys remember there's a part where they talk about Wittgenstein in this reading? Wittgenstein? So I'll make sure to read this reading.
It's more like specifics.
This is going
I
to
can give
be.
you a very general outline.
Yeah.
We'll go for it. I'm gonna call your bluff.
It was Dorish, and he talked about phenomenon.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenon.
You've already kind of half failed the general outline.
No.
Keep going, Larry.
And
Keep
it was
going.
It was pretty much.
Oh no, sorry. I have to actually think about it hard now.
So, he gave an overview of phenomenology, of philosophy.
Yeah.
But all this was to support an idea of, we mentioned this earlier,
Social world.
which is part of. So at the very beginning of this, which you probably should have even made to before you fell asleep or you were reading it, was
Yeah, I was
he
like,
talks
half
about
Sorry.
he talks about coming from two other concepts that he tried to push forward, right? What were these other two concepts?
Familiarity.
Yeah, it's kind of familiarity. So he wants to
Yeah, that's what it was.
push.
He talked about how the what is it called? Those things that we do, but we don't know how we do them.
Yeah, there you go, Larry.
I
What is that
remember
called?
reading that because this happened to me once.
Yeah.
I was playing Smash Brothers and somebody picked up the control and said, "Teach me how to play." I was like, I don't know what any of these buttons do. Sorry. Even though I had been playing for like the past 5 hours. Yeah, it was bad. I
Smash
definitely remember
Brothers. We can bring it back to Smash Brothers.
You know.
Larry.
Yeah, exactly. This is good. Get something that you yourself have some tacit knowledge about, right? Because you have this kind of tangible
Yeah.
knowledge of
That's
it.
self-aware, because
So-
we're talking about having tacit knowledge.
Yeah, that's what it was called, tacit knowledge.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that was one aspect that he brought into embodiment. What was the other thing? To be fully embodied, you're dealing and you're negotiating with things you don't fully understand how. You don't understand how these patterns get built up between night and day, but eventually you're just like, of course, right, day, I know this, but you don't think consciously about like, my photoreceptors are at level 5.8 now, it's most likely around 1 p.m.
There's another interesting thing about that. I had seen an article, or not an article, it was an idea about how we kind of extend ourselves to what we're in. Like, we're in a car, and we're sitting there, and we're always talking about, me. We kind of, like, extend ourselves out to,
Yeah.
we're into, like, that guy hit me. It's like, oh no, the right
Ah.
side of my car has been,
Are you talking about
And then-
Scott McCloud?
I think so, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the tacit knowledge comes back into that. It's not like,
Yeah.
I need to turn this many degrees to the
Brain
left.
plasticity and cyborg theory.
Turn left. Okay, turn left.
You act through things, and they can become part of you. So remember, he gives in Dersh's example, he talks about the mouse.
Yeah, the
And
mouse and how it hits.
Yeah, once you act through the mouse, and it's just part of your body, until you hit the side of the edge, and you're like, oh, I have this weird thing on me. Sure, no problem. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot. Good discussion. Look back through the Durish. I'm going to tell you exactly what to read in Animals as Navigators. Durish is going to help you guys out a lot in your final essays that you have to write there. Goodbye, Mary. I'll send you an email with more of the things that I'm shouting right now. You can run to your class.
Do we need to
Sure.
review the one starts with a K, the one about the macro sensors?
Kunitsov, what I want you guys to do is we're going to talk about that a little bit on Thursday.
Okay.
So make sure that you've read Kunitsov.
Was that an attachment, Andy? It
It's on the T-Square site now. It's in the Dropbox. You can also just Google Scholar.
It'll great.
Yeah.
Where
Cool.
can I pick up 2 servos?
Yeah.
Am
They're
I
in
gonna
the
be
box.
able to work-
I think they're in one of those red boxes.
Wait, on Thursday we're not working, right, with our project?
I think you will. Thursday we're going to try to do some work.
Do you think there'll be servos here that I can like play with? Because I won't
I
have.
think
my-
so. I have a big box back there.
Yeah, I didn't come back.
Yeah. But of course, everyone shouldn't rely on Andy's big box of servos.
Well, I plan on buying my own.
So I
thing.
found these options that I said,
And also, like, go with the
should I use
The geometry?
so you can change,
Yeah.
So I think there's some, our motion
Yeah,
things back there you can play with.
Yeah.
If these are substantially different from those, usually they're just used for humans, and they need like a big difference in order to measure a difference. They're not going to be that good. I'll send you guys an email out about all the stuff for Thursday, but that's the main thing. Bring stuff, work on stuff.
I will work on that. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, those would be good.
Can I use 2 of those?
Totally.
Can I put one on the back?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah. You have a cart that just moves on its own.
Yeah.
Put one of those wheels on the front, one on the back. Figure out a way to attach them so they don't do all weird.
If it's moving forward.
You're going to need a lot of, well, you can try it out with just, so you're going to need an external power source, right?
Okay.
Or a wire somehow, because normally your Arduino gets your power from a computer or USB, right?
Yeah.
That's around 5 volts. Your Arduino can take up to 12 volts. There's big battery packs you can get, where you just pop in like, 8 AA's or something, and then you can plug it in, run it from that. Look into power source. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay. Yeah, I think those should work for you. Okay. Cool.
These are just the normal coordinates from Spartan, right? Like the 1399.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was planning on getting.
Awesome.
How long does it usually take to ship? Like 2 weeks?
Spark Fun takes about a week.